How are you, sir?
I'm pretty good. So, you have been on the record in saying that you make movies for the fans, not for the critics. But do you think there's a place in film for critical analysis? And if so, then why are your movies not a part of that? Are there certain movies made for critical analysis and certain movies that are just made for dick and fart jokes?
I liked it more when we were talking about fucking Hitler. You just took it real, dude. Okay, where do I stand on this anymore? Here's my feeling. The older one gets, like, look, talking about criticizing film and shit like that, and shouldn't everything be analyzed? That's kind of a young person's game. As I said before, less years in front of me than behind. And all the shit that seemed important at one point, the older you get and the closer to death you get, they're less important. Suddenly you're way more forgiving of everything. Suddenly you're like, every dopey movie has its place. I watched Joanna Man finally. Not bad, man, not bad. Now, if I had watched it when it come out, what would I have said? Joanna Man, I don't want an abortion of cinema, you know? But I'm older now, I'm 41, and there is no such thing as an abortion of cinema. Every fucking movie counts. I don't care if it's fucking Nolan's or Kev Smith's. You know, the high to the low. Every movie is someone's favorite fucking movie. So, I mean, yeah, that's a very popular sentiment. But getting back to the critical analysis of it, I mean, yeah, if you want to really break apart anything, go ahead. Everything deserves to be analyzed, of course. The unexamined life is not worth living. You know, we've heard that many times. Plato said it, and I just re-said it. But at the end of the day, it's like, do you want to pick apart something that happened, or do you want to create something yourself? You could either sit around and be entertained, or you can go out and try to be entertaining. I sat down with Roger Corman today, independent film legend Roger Corman, and I learned something that I didn't know. Roger Corman started life as a film critic, man. That changed my perception a little bit, because I was like, there was a guy who loved writing about, he just wanted movies so bad, he'd take any way to get to them. And the first way he could get to them was writing about them. And that was his first step. And then after that, he took it further, got a job at Fox, and then worked on a movie, and then said, fuck it, I'm gonna get out of here and fucking create my own shit. And then created independent film, essentially. So a dude like that, when he sits there and tells you, like, yeah, I was a film critic once, I was just like, wow, man, that's fucked up. But he's a film critic that he wasn't satisfied with that. It wasn't enough to just sit around and be like, here's what's wrong with some shit that I saw that I could never do myself. He was a guy who was like, fuck picking apart shit, I wanna make shit. Like, you get to a point where you're like, I'm so sick of bitching about other people's shit. If I see a hole, if I want to make a movie that no one else is making, fuck it, I'll make it myself. And we live in the age of democratized media where anybody could do it. Like in 1994 when I did it, weren't a lot of people doing it, so I get to stand out. Like, hey, I'm one fucking person that tried to make an indie film, one of 1,000 in that year. Now, everybody could do it. Everybody in this room could shoot a fucking interesting film, way more interesting than Clerks, and better looking on their iPhone, cut it, and upload it to YouTube. And probably have it seen by more people than ever saw Clerks in a fucking movie theater. In that world where that's at your fingertips, where you could be a god, where you could create characters and life and shape shit, put it out there for the world, where people are moved by it, where it does something for them, where something you've created, some story you've told, has become their favorite movie. Maybe that thing that saved them from fucking killing themselves. When you have that ability, why the fuck would you want to sit around and write about someone else's shit? Why would you want to sit around and fucking go, here's what's wrong with this, that, or fucking that? And I'm not just saying my flicks. I'm not just saying, leave my movies alone. Who gives a shit? Don't talk about it. Go fucking do it. If you perceive deficit, fill that deficit yourself. That's heroic. That's something new. That's adding a spoke to the wheel and creating conversation, creating art. Commenting on art, that's fine. If some people want to do it, I comment on art all the time. I sit up here, came out, talked about Iron Man, how I cum my pants watching Iron Man. And you know, for me, it's more entertaining because I say words that I enjoy and shit. But that's commentary on art. But I'm not content to just sit here and look at something and say what I like and what I don't like. At a certain point, I gotta make. Last few years, I can't even tell you what's happening in TV or the multiplexes because I've been such on a creative high and shit. So when I'm in that headspace, it baffles me why anybody would be like, yeah, no, being a film critic's cool. Yeah, it's fine, it's a start. But then take that fucking knowledge. If you know so much and you know better than the filmmakers who've done it themselves, put your dick on the table. Play the game with the rest of us, you know? It's not enough to comment anymore. You gotta do. Deeds, not words. So that's how I feel about it. I like film critics. I like anybody that talks about movies and shit. But I hate people that shit on movies and take the fucking fun out of it. For 2 hours or 90 minutes, people are just going somewhere to escape, forget about their fucking world. Do you really need to open up the New York Times and see somebody shitting all over Transformers? Do you think Transformers is meant to transform the world? Fuck no, it's meant to show you what it looks like when a giant snake robot coils around a building and it falls. And that's not for me, man. I'm not gonna say like fucking, and I was there. I saw that trailer and I was like, that's all I need to see. That's amazing. You know, I don't give a shit what happens to LaBouffe. I just wanted to see the building go down. But that's me voting with my wallet, you know? It's not me going like, show me that movie for fucking free, and then I'm gonna weigh in it on a newspaper, on a website or something. Those days are over, man. There's not enough money going around to fucking hand out free samples of the work just to have somebody shit in your mouth later on. And that's my only beef about critics. I'm like, talk about a movie all you want. Just pay to see it. That's it, like everybody else. Like everybody that I've ever wanted to show one of my movies who really wanted to see it, they're willing to pay for it in advance, but no, they can't, you know? But the critics, on the other hand, you give a screening for them way in advance and treat them special, and then most of them shit on it later on. I'm done with that. Like I said, less years in front of me than behind. I'm done playing fucking games where I'm like, yeah, okay, you can tell me that my art's bad, even though you'll never make art yourself. I don't even know what you do, man. What's your work? Your work is just commenting on my work, and yet your work, you constantly tell me I should stop doing my work, but if I stop doing my work, what the fuck are you gonna do, you know? You have a parasitic existence, not you. I'm just talking to this fictional person.
Yeah,
and shit. I was like, you piece of shit, you're worse than Hitler, get him! Not at all. But for me, it's just like, and again, some people say, oh, it's a cop-out, whatever. Well, whatever. I made cop-out, so maybe it is a cop-out. But the older I get, the less I have time for fucking, I can't suffer fools gladly anymore. I can't sit there and read about some jackass who don't have the nuts to do what I did, tell me that I'm doing it wrong. It's like, dude, you fucking right about what I do. So I don't begrudge them their existence and shit. I just don't really engage anymore. I don't read shit. I'll be honest with you. I read one review of Red State, and it was written by Todd McCarthy. It was the only reason I wanted to read it, because he reviewed my first movie in Variety back in 1994. And back then, I cared about shit like that. I was a big reader of Todd McCarthy, so being reviewed by him was fucking cool. So years later, I go to Sundance, and we show Red State, and he'd moved over to The Hollywood Reporter. And somebody said, Todd McCarthy reviewed the movie. And he hadn't reviewed like my last 2 flicks. And that vestigial part of my brain that still came from 1994, where critics mattered to me, called out to me and said, you want to know what he said. Just see what Todd McCarthy said. And I read it, and it was hands down the best review I could ever expect from Todd McCarthy in my life. And I said, that's it. I never need to read another. And I backed away. So as far as I know, I got 100% on fucking, you know, Red State. And, you know, some people will be like, that's picky and choosy. You should read everything. No, you shouldn't. Like, a lot of people on Twitter get mad if I block them. Like, people jump on Twitter and be like, you suck, fucking asshole, and they spell suck wrong. And then, and, you know, I'm like, I used to give everyone their say and shit, but then I was like, I don't need to read this in the morning. I'm taking a shit. I want to read happy things, man. So I fucking blocked that person. And then that person will find me later in life and just be like, why'd you block me? Just because I don't agree with you? I was like, yeah, I don't agree that I'm a fucking asshole or I suck asshole. So, well, actually I do sometimes. But that's a marital thing and none of his business. Unless I share it on Twitter. But at that point, like, I don't need that kind of negativity. I saw somebody wrote something where they're like, he's a stoner now, so he doesn't want negativity in his life. And I gotta be honest with you, I gave that some real thought and shit. And I was like, well, did I ever want it in my life? Like, it wasn't like I became a stoner and suddenly I was like, I can't handle negativity, man. I never fucking wanted it. I just want a positive life. Like, I don't put out negativity. I don't want negativity around me. And that has nothing to do with weed, but I'll tell you one thing. Weed makes it all fucking clear, man. You take one hit and you're like, life's too short, bitch. Let's go make some art.